Hi everyone. Imagine the beauty of these animals when you see them alive. Amoeba has only one cell and only that cell performs all the activities of the body. Our basis for classification, we consider certain characters or certain bases. A very important basis for classification of animals. Let us see what are the other bases for classification. Everyone, welcome back once again to session 1 of this very beautiful chapter, Animal Kingdom. Right, so myself B. Shobharani from the Department of Biology, Vidyashram Pre-University College, the Temple of Excellence in Mysore. What are we going to study in this chapter? As I said, I welcome you all to this animal kingdom. You can see the beautiful animals here. Who does not like animals, right? And we come across animals which are harmful and dangerous to human mankind. We also come across animals which are kind to human mankind. But of course, they are the part and parcel of this beautiful planet Earth, right? We cannot live without these animals and they cannot live without us. So it's like an interaction between the human beings and the animals. See how beautiful these animals are. Definitely we are going to see all these animals if you go to a zoo or to a national park, right? But imagine the beauty of these animals when you see them alive. So when you see them alive, the beauty only is different, right? When we see in pictures only, they look so very beautiful. Then imagine seeing them alive, right? So you can see the bear here, you can see the lion, my God, it is the king of the forest. Then you can see the zebra with his beautiful body, right? And you can see the deer with the horn like. So what I'm going to discuss in today's very interesting chapter called Animal Kingdom. As you come across, there are diversified animals existing on this planet Earth. Is it possible for us to study all the animals together? Definitely not. Then what is the very easiest method to study about these animals? As I said, very important is what? Classification. What do you mean by classification? That is grouping. Classification and grouping. That is classification or grouping. So what is the basis for classification? Are you classifying them based on the similarities or dissimilarities or the origin? So what is the basis? That is what we are going to study in today's session. What is the basis of classifying all these beautiful animals that are existing on the planet Earth so that we can study them very easily? So classification based on certain characteristic features is very important for us to know about the planet, that is to know about the animals that are existing on the planet Earth. So let us see what are the important bases for classification. So before we go to the basis for classification, let us understand what are the important features of animals. First let us know, and as you know, it belongs to which kingdom? Kingdom Animalia. And Animalia is also called as what? Metazoa. Plants are called as metaphytes. Kingdom Plantae is also called as Metaphyta. Here this is also called as Metazoa. Metazoa means what? Animals, right? So in this particular slide, we are going to study about the salient features or the characteristic features of the kingdom Animalia. That is about the animals. Now let us study one by one. What is the first very important basic characteristic features? They possess eukaryotic cell. Hope you remember I told you in the first session of the chapter called Living World, we classify the animals based on whether they are prokaryotes or eukaryotes. So particularly these animals belong to eukaryotes. They have a definite nucleus bounded by a nuclear membrane. They have all cell organelles like the mitochondria, Golgi bodies, ribosomes, endoplasmic reticulum, etc. You call such a cell with all these features as what? Eukaryotic cell. But one thing you should remember, that the animals possess a eukaryotic cell without cell wall. What do you mean by cell wall? Cell wall is a very important outermost covering which is present only in plants. Here we are talking about animals. So they possess eukaryotic cell without cell wall and without plastids. We don't manufacture our own food. We are heterotrophic. Animals are heterotrophic. They depend upon the plants or other animals for their food. So obviously they don't require plastids. What are plastids? Coloring pigments, which is very much dominant in a plant cell. As you know, plant carry on a very important process called photosynthesis, which is nothing but the manufacturing of food. For that, plastids is important. So which is also absent in eukaryotic cell, and photosynthetic pigments, that is the chlorophyll, as I said, all these are absent in animal cell. So what do the animals possess? They possess eukaryotic cell, but without what? Without cell wall, without plastid and photosynthetic pigments, right? Next, as you know, plants and animals are the classical example for multicellular organism. As I said in the previous session, what is the advantage of being a multicellular? The very advantage is what? Many millions of cells are there, and cells group into what? Cells group into tissues, tissues into organs, and organs into organ system, and organ system make an organism. So what is the advantage? Advantage of multicellular organism is what? They have millions of cells, where the cells group into tissues, group of tissues make an organ, group of organs make an organ system, and all these organ system put together make an organism, which is very much important to carry on the activities of life. Carry on the activities of life. So animals are what? Multicellular organisms, and the cells are organized into what? Tissues, tissues into organs, and organs into organ system. As you know, in an animal body there are different organs which carry on different functions, like the digestive system carries on the process of digestion, respiratory system carries on the process of respiration, excretory system does the process of elimination of the nitrogenous waste, so on and so. So we have the animals have different organ system to perform different functions, and that is a very great advantage of a multicellular organism. Imagine a unicellular organism like amoeba. Amoeba has only one cell, and only that cell performs all the activities of the body. So imagine it is so very difficult in a unicellular, but imagine the advantage of being a multicellular organism. We have different organ systems to perform different functions. So what is the first very important characteristic feature? The animals possess what? Eukaryotic cell without cell wall, without plastids, and without photosynthetic pigments, and they are multicellular organisms, and the cells are grouped into tissues, tissues into organs, and organs into organ system, and all these organ system put together make an organism, and all these organs carry on the different activities of what we call it as life, right? That is an next very important characteristic feature is they are heterotrophic. As I said, they don't have what? Plastids or photosynthetic pigments. Animals cannot manufacture their own food. They cannot synthesize their own food like the plants. But animals are heterotrophic. What do you mean by hetero? Different. What do you mean by trophic? Mode of nutrition. So they depend upon different modes. Like they depend upon the plants for their food, or they may depend upon the animals for their food. So animals are heterotrophic in nature. They are not autotrophic. Plants are called autotrophic. What do you mean by auto? Self. They self-manufacture their own food. Animals don't self-manufacture their own food. They depend upon the plants or the animals for their food. A very important characteristic feature of animals. That is, they are multicellular, they have eukaryotic cell, they are multicellular, they are heterotrophic in their mode of nutrition. What do you mean by nutrition? Obtaining food is called as nutrition, right? Generally, they are motile. Usually you come across the animals are motile. Why do they have locomotory organelles? For motility, to move from one place to another place. What for? In search of food, or maybe in search of to carry on a very important process called reproduction. So that is, they have the some are most of the animals are motile. That is, they have what you call them as locomotory organelles. And not only the locomotory organelles help them to go in search of food, they also help them to overcome their their predators. So whenever they come across the predators, they run away. So for running also they need what? Locomotory organelles. So that's also a very, very important characteristic feature of animals. So generally they are motile, and in some cases adults are sessile. So in that case larval stages exhibit motility. Very rare cases you come across where the adults are sessile and the larval stages exhibit motility. So these are a very, very important characteristic feature of animals. So what is the first very important? They are eukaryotic cell. They don't have cell wall, plastids, or nor the photosynthetic pigment. They are multicellular organs where the cells are grouped into tissues into organs, and organs into organ system, and they are heterotrophic in their mode of nutrition, and generally they are what? Motile, and in very rare cases you find the adults are sessile and the larval stages exhibit motility. So these are some of the very important characteristic features. We're moving on to the next very important characters. They have sensory neuromotor system. Very, very important. That is what we call it as nervous system for conduction of nerve impulse. Right? We are able to sense the environment. For example, if the animals come across any predators, it will try to run away to escape from the predators. And even the body mechanism, everything is depending upon this very, very important system called neuromotor system, which comprises of brain. Right? So here, and are provided with specialized sense organs to respond to stimulus. Hope you remember in the chapter called The Living World, we came across one very important characteristic feature of living organism is what? They respond to external stimuli, or they exhibit what? Consciousness or irritability. We all respond to external stimuli. That is, what is the response to the environment? It's a very, very important characteristic feature of the animals. Next, generally they reproduce by sexual method. Hope you know that when we discuss about a very important characteristic feature called reproduction, we discussed that reproduction is very, very important process that is taking place in the living organism. What is reproduction? It is a process of producing the offsprings, right? It is a process of producing the offspring, where an organism produces the offspring of its own kind, or the progeny of its own kind. But reproduction, you remember I told you that reproduction is of two types. That is what? Sexual method, and the other one is called asexual method. What is sexual method? You remember a sexual method involves what? Two parents of opposite sex. So we use a word called biparental, whereas in case of asexual it is uniparental. Only one parent will produce the offspring, whereas in case of sexual method, two organisms of two opposite sex will produce the offsprings or the progeny, right? And also you remember that the offspring that are born through sexual mode of reproduction exhibit what? Variation, differences, whereas the offspring that are born through asexual reproduction, they are called as clone. What do you mean by clone? They are exact copies of their parents, exact copies of their parents, right? So sexual mode. So what is the mode of reproduction that is exhibited by the animals? That is, most of the higher animals exhibit what method? Sexual method. And a very few organisms, which we call it as lower organism, exhibit what method? Asexual method. What do you mean by lower organism? Is it like higher organism, bigger organism is big and small? No. Based on their body organization. Higher animals means what? They have a better body organization. What do you mean by lower animals? They don't have a better body organization when compared to the higher animals. So lower animals will exhibit what mode of reproduction? That is asexual mode of reproduction. And they show a series of progressive developmental stages from an embryo to an adult. A very, very important thing, right? You take the development of a fetus in the mother's womb from the time of conception, that is pregnancy, till she delivers the baby. You can see the process of development going on. So that is a very, very unique feature which is exhibited in animals. That is right from they show what? A series of progressive developmental stages right from the embryonic stage to an adult. So all these are the very, very important characteristic features which is exhibited by kingdom Animalia or metazoans. So hope you have understood what are the important characteristic features of animals. That is They possess eukaryotic cell without cell wall, plastid and photosynthetic pigments. Then they are multicellular organisms, and the cells are organized into what? Tissues into organs, organs into organ system. And what mode of nutrition they exhibit? They exhibit heterotrophic mode of nutrition. They are not autotrophic. They cannot manufacture their own food. They depend upon the plants or the animals for their food, hence they are called as what? Heterotrophic. And generally they are motile. Why? What is the function of these motile organs or the locomotory organs? To protect themselves from the predators, or to go in search of food, or go in search of a partner for reproduction. So that is the reason why they have this motile, or what you call it as locomotory organelles. And they have a very, very important system called sensory neurosystem, which is provided with what? Sensory cells, which is going to respond to external stimuli. Each and every organism, that is particularly the animals, respond to the environment, external stimuli. And generally they reproduce by what method? Sexual method. Only the lower organisms will be exhibiting asexual method, and that too because they don't have a better body organization when compared to higher animals. And they show a series of progressive development right from the stage of development of an embryo up to an adult. So these are the very, very important characteristic features of kingdom Animalia. Hope you have understood, and these characters are very, very important. As I said, even we as human beings are also animals, so we also exhibit most of these characteristic features. What you can see, like all the characteristic features are also exhibited by the human beings also, right? Next, what is the basis of classification? As I said, there are innumerable varieties of animals existing on this beautiful planet Earth. Is it possible for us to study all the animals put together? Definitely not, because it's so very difficult to study about all the animals together. Then what is the very, very important basis for classification? We consider certain characters or certain bases. Based on those bases only we are going to classify the animals, right? So that is called the basis of classification. Like various animals of the kingdom Animalia are classified based on body plans. So let us see what are those important characteristic features. First one is very important basis is levels of organization. Very, very important basis. What do you mean by levels of organization? All of us know that we animals have what? A very important called cell. Cell is called as what? The structural and functional unit of life. So all of us know cell is the structural and functional unit of life. And as you know, what is the advantage in multicellular organisms? Multicellular organisms have millions of cells, and these cells put together make a tissue, and the tissues together make an organ, and the organs together make an organ system, and all the organ system put together make an organism. So that process is called levels of organization. We have different levels of body organization. Now let us know what are the different levels. One is called the cellular level, second one is called the tissue level, third one is called the organ level, and the fourth one is called, in the next slide you are going to see, that is the organ system level. Organ system level. So what are the four levels of organ system? One, as I said, cellular level, tissue level. So four levels are there. So cellular level, tissue level, organ level, and organ system level. Organ system level. So what are the four levels of organization? There are four levels of organization which forms a very, very important basis for classification of animals. What are the four levels of cellular organization? One is, this is usually asked in the exam, what name the different levels of body organization, or what are the levels of body organization? What are the four levels of body organization? There are four levels of body organization, namely cellular level, tissue level, organ level, and organ system level. Now let us study one by one. Cellular level. Cells are there, but the cells don't group into tissues. Say their body is restricted to only to this level. Cells are there, but they don't group into tissues. Such a body organization is called cellular level. Here you can see, here the body is multicellular in nature and are not organized into tissues and are not organized into tissues. So I said cells are there, but the cells don't group into tissues. So their body is restricted to what level? Only cellular level. So what is a classical example you are going to give for those organisms wherein you come across cellular level of body organization? Poriferans, pore bearers. But I come across the word called sponges, right? Poriferans are the example. So pore bearers. Here the body is multicellular in nature and are not organized into tissues. Hope you have understood what is cellular. Cells are there, but the cells don't group into tissues. What is tissue level? Cells are there, cells group into tissue, but tissue don't group into what? Organs. So their body is restricted to what level? Only tissue level. Tissues are there, but no organ system, no organs. So such a level of organization is called tissue level. Here the body is restricted to what level? Only cellular. Cells are there, but cells don't group into tissues. Here tissues are there, but tissues don't group into organs. So their body is restricted only to tissue level. Here that is, here the body is multicellular and the cells are organized and are organized into tissues, but not into organs. Not into organs. So to such a level is called tissue level. What is organ level? Here the body is multicellular, cells are organized into tissues and the tissues are organized into organs, but no organ system. You don't find different organ system forming a system. So their body is restricted to what level? Only to the organ level. And what is the example you are going to give for tissue level? Coelentrates. And what is the example you are going to give for organ level? Platyhelminths. Organ system level, definitely I think you can see in the coming slide. Here organ system level, when two or more organs work together to perform a specific body function, they form what? Organ system. The organ system form an organism. As I said, cells into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ system, and organ system into an organism. So different organ system put together, like here you can see different organs, the digestive system, the respiratory system. Here you can see a part of the digestive system. Then here you can see the brain. Here you can see the liver. Then here you can see the heart, the urinary bladder, then the kidney, right? All these are what? Different organs. All these organs put together make an organ system. Like for example, excretory system. Excretory system consists of what? It consists of the kidney, then the urinary bladder, etc., etc. So this consists of what? The stomach, the intestine and the large intestine. All these put together make a system, organ system. So all the organs put together make a organ system. And all these organs perform what? Different functions, right? So that is how we come across the organ system level. What is a classical example you are going to give? Like annelids, arthropods, mollusks, echinoderms and chordates. All these animals, where we use a word called higher animals, will have this organ system level of body organization. Hope you have understood what is the level of organization. So what are the four levels? One is called the cellular level. Cells are there, but they don't group into tissues. Example, poriferans. Tissues are there, but tissues don't group into organs. Example, coelentrates. Organ level, organs are there, but organs don't group into organ system. Example, platyhelminths, right? Then what do you mean by organ system level? Or all the organs put together, that one or two organs, that is two or more organs work together to perform a specific function, and they form what? An organ system. So the organ system form an organism. So as I said, multicellular organism, millions of cells are there. Cells group into tissues, tissues into organs, organs into organ system, and organ system put together make an organism. So what is a classical example you are going to give? Starting from annelids, arthropod, mollusk, echinoderms and chordates. This is a very important basis for classification of animals. What is the first very important basis? Based on the levels of body organization. What are the 4 levels of body organization? Cellular level, tissue level, organ level and organ system level of body organization. Now let us see what are the other bases for classification. Organ systems is of 2 types. So very important. Now we have come across what is organ system. Now organ system is of 2 types. One is called the open organ system. The other one is called the or you can also use the word called incomplete system, complete system. So let us take an example of the digestive system. So digestive, in some animals, the digestive system has only one opening. For example, like mouth. In higher animals have 2 openings. That is, one called the mouth, the other one called the anus. So this is 2 openings. Here we have only one opening, that is mouth. So what is the basis of differentiating the organ system into incomplete and complete system? Those organisms which have the digestive system consists of 2 openings. One is the mouth through which the food enters, and the other opening is called anus through which the excretory matter goes out of the body. So in an organism, if the digestive system consists of 2 openings, that is the mouth and the anus, such a system is called complete system. Particularly we can use the word called complete digestive system. Complete digestive system. So what do you mean by complete digestive system? First understand this, then you will understand what is incomplete, right? A digestive system which consists of 2 openings. What are the 2 openings? One is called the mouth through which the food is taken inside, and the other opening is called what? Anus, through which the excretory matter goes out. In such an organism, the digestive system consists of 2 openings. So such a digestive system is called what? Complete. Where, as I said, the anterior will be the mouth and the posterior end will be the anus. So usually you come across the mouth in the anterior region and the anus in the posterior region. So mouth is located in the topmost region, that is the anterior region, and below region is what? Anus. So mouth serves what? Intake of food, and anus serves as what? Removal of the excretory waste that is produced in the body during the process of digestion. So such a digestive system with 2 openings, that is the mouth and the anus, is called complete digestive system. Hope you have understood. What do you mean by incomplete digestive system? A digestive system consisting of only one opening, that is mouth. Mouth itself serves both the purpose, that is entry of food and exit of the excretory matter will also take place in the same mouth. And so mouth serves both the function. Such a type of digestive system is called as what? Incomplete digestive system. This is also a very important basis for classifying the animals. So hope you have understood what is incomplete digestive system. A digestive system which is consisting of only one opening in the anterior region, and that itself will serve as anus also, that is intake of food, and the exit of the excretory waste goes out from the same opening. So one opening itself will serve as what? Serve as both mouth and anus. Such a system is called as what? Incomplete. What do you mean by complete system? When the digestive system consists of 2 openings, that is the mouth and the anus. So the mouth serves the intake of food, and the anus serves what? The exit of the excretory matters that is produced in the body. Such a system is called as what? It is called as complete digestive system. Similarly, we'll also come across one more system like the respiratory, that is the circulatory system. All of us know that blood is in circulation. Blood is the liquid connective tissue which is carrying the nutrients, and at the same time also it removes the excretory waste from the body. So circulatory system is a very, very important system found in the animals, right? Again, there is a basis for classifying the circulatory system into open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. So circulatory system is of two types. One is called the open circulatory system and the second one is called the closed circulatory system. Just like the digestive system is of two types, that is incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system, based on the number of openings. If there is only one opening, that is mouth, it is called incomplete. If there are two openings, that is the mouth and the anus, it is called complete. In a similar way, the circulatory system is of two types. What is it? Some animals will have open circulatory system, some animals will have closed circulatory system. Now let us see what is the difference between these two. Open circulatory system. Here the absence of blood vessels. Absence of blood vessels. What are blood vessels? That is the arteries and the veins. Arteries and the veins. Here presence of blood vessels. That is the arteries and the veins. So, if at all the circulatory system does not consist of the blood vessels, such a circulatory system is called open circulatory system. Then what do you mean by closed circulatory system? A circulatory system which consists of the heart, which is the principal organ in pumping the blood, along with what? Blood flows through the blood vessels, namely the arteries and veins. So presence of the blood vascular system, that is the blood vessels, you call such a circulatory system as what? Closed circulatory system. Suppose if the blood vessels are absent, you call it as open circulatory system. Hope I am clear. So what is the basis for classifying the circulatory system into two types? Based on the presence or absence of blood vessels. What are blood vessels? The arteries and the veins which carry the blood. Arteries carry the purified blood. Veins carry the impure blood, right? So if there is presence of the blood vessels, you call such a circulatory system as closed, and if the blood vessels are absent, you call such a circulatory system as open. So what is this open circulatory system? The blood is pumped out of the heart and the cells and the tissues are directly dipped in it or bathed in it. So because there is no supply of what? Blood vessels. No blood vessels. The heart pumps the blood and the cells and the tissues get bathed in it, dipped in it, because there is no supply of blood through the blood vessels. Such a circulatory system is called open circulatory system. Here you can see closed circulatory system, the blood is circulated through a series of blood vessels varying diameters, that is arteries, veins and capillaries. Minute blood vessels are called as what? Capillaries. Hope you have understood what is the basis for classifying the organ system there into what is that? Incomplete digestive system, complete digestive system, and circulatory system here, that is the open circulatory system and closed circulatory system. So open means what? Without blood vessels. Closed means what? With the help of blood vessels. The supply of blood is through blood vessels. Here without the blood vessels, but the heart pumps the blood and the cells and the tissues are directly bathed in it. Here the heart pumps the blood and the pumped blood is carried by the blood vessels. Such a type of circulatory system is called as what? Closed. Hope you have understood all the concepts what I have explained in this wonderful chapter called Animal Kingdom. Some more basis of classification is there. So in the coming session, I'll be dealing with some more concepts about what is the other basis for classification of animals. As I said, animals are the beauty of our planet Earth, and we come across a variety of animals around us. And what is the base? And as I said, it is very difficult for us to study about all the animals together. So there must be some basis for classification. That is what we are studying in this particular session. What is the basis for classification? One basis was what? The levels of body organization, that is the cellular level, tissue level, organ level, and organ system level. And also we studied in organ system level incomplete digestive system and complete digestive system, circulatory system of again that is the closed circulatory system and open circulatory system. Hope you enjoyed this session of such a beautiful chapter called Animal Kingdom. So I'll be coming back with some more concepts in the next session. Till then, goodbye and thank you.